Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Blender episode 4, Cover Story. Today we are going to be talking about the covers of games. We'll be talking about lots of covers. You're going to be given quizzes on covers, see if you can recognize them. You'll hear the inside story on everything that goes into making a cover. You will be enlightened about some trends in covers and interesting motifs that I think I've sneaked into the covers of games inadvertently. But before we get to all that, I wanted to mention a little bit myself of what I consider to be the Hollywood move of board game covers that become trendier and become much more Hollywood, if you would. And I got a couple of examples here. This is my favorite game of all time, Pandemic. And as you can see, not a very flashy box. Not sure you'd pick this up off the shelf if you didn't know it was a great game. But here we have flashy Pandemic, Hollywood Pandemic, helicopters, heroes standing with a light behind them, ready to save the world. Pandemic. We have Neuroshima Hex 2.0, already a second version, but the first one looked the same. As you can see, dark mech, right? Not a lot of, you don't know what's going on there. No one to cheer for, right? But the new one, you got that guy. You can cheer for him. And he looks like a bad dude from some sort of Hollywood movie. You got the blood splatter in the corner over there. Big title, right? They break the edge with that. So, very Hollywood. One more. And this is actually, this one changed the title and everything. Dynasties is this little game. And it's probably hard for you to see the cover because it's so light and pastel. You know, the colors are hard to pick up. But now, never fear, Sun Tzu is the new re-theme to that game. Same theme, really. They just changed the title. And as you can see, much more Hollywood. You know, bright colors, big armies clashing. So it's an interesting trend I've noticed. And, you know, in games, and you'll hear opposing views to this a little later, but in games that have the stoic figure standing there saying, "You want to play a game?" to these that say, theater, drama, movies, special effects, yeah? So, an interesting move. Then again, there's a lot of other movements in covers that I think are also quite interesting, and let's just get to them. Enjoy, guys.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. That's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the Randy Zone.
I'm Randy White from Board Game Corner. Submitted for your approval, 25 paintings of otherworldly encounters, each with its title removed through alien technology and arcane incantations. Your challenge will be to name each of these images in the few moments you have to view them. As your guide, I will provide commentary which may provide clues or might just be the ramblings of a madman. You are now leaving the Randy Zone and beginning your trip through the White Gallery.
Let's start with Sam's favorite tiny game. Christians are not thrown to the lions in this game. That's in the expansion. Number 2. Enunciate clearly when asking for this game or you'll end up with a bag of cough drops. Number 3. Apparently you play as a heavily armed family preparing to attack a small Dutch village, probably for tulips.
Suave.
Hey buddy, you ought to get this game for your girlfriend. Turns out she already got one and she don't care. A Beatles reference, good man. Number 6. In the future, they've cured cancer, but not constipation. Inspired by the movie Team America, this Eurogame contains a CD with the smash hit, Europe. It's okay. Number 8. How do you pronounce CTHU-LHU? Fantasy Flight pronounces it Cash Cow. Number 9. Don't be surprised if the girl in the foreground turns around and looks like this. Tonight on the Cantina News Network, we'll be discussing parasitic brain slugs, deadly menace, or bold fashion choice. Number 11. Fezzes are cool, but Agent 47 is cooler. I'm sorry, Ms. Kardashian. It's a fake. The ring? Oh yes, the ring is fake too. Kratos has killed the gods of Olympus and must now face his greatest challenge, the gods of Mount Crayola. Number 14. Is the architecture inspired by the headgear they wear? If so, I really hope this never catches on. Number 15. You will not get partial credit for the answer Dr. Crusher, Medicine Woman.
Science!
Number 17. Does anyone else feel like the Katamari Damacy ball is going to roll through here any second? Number 18. She looks like Austin Powers just asked her, "Baby, do I make you..." Well, you know how it goes. Number 19. Trapped in a world where every day is Wednesday. Number 20. I've removed the title of this zombie game, but the outline should give you a clue. Okay, maybe not. Number 21. If Maroon 5 were royalty, this is where they would live. Number 22. Because it's always a good idea to be an anagram of another game. Number 23. Barney Stinson's favorite game. Monsieur Creosote, may I offer you a mint? It's wafer thin. And finally, number 25, because it was really easy to Photoshop.
I hope you found your journey insightful. For those of you with minds intact and still mystified, the answers you seek will be revealed in a single video frame hidden in Blender episode 15. What? Why not? How about 3 frames in episode 10? Fine. The answers you seek will be revealed now. This is Randy White, and I'll be waiting for you in the shadows of the next Board Game Blender.
That's because Randy's awesome.
Hey, hello friends of the Blend. Welcome to Retro Board Game Corner. Nothing better than rock climbing than playing a great board game. Man, I am so dusty and dirty. Let me take off my attire here and I'll be right back with you. Today on Board Game Blender, we've been talking about box cover art. Now, box cover art back in the day was very important because there was no way of knowing what you got inside the box. So the box cover art had to be spot on. One game comes to mind. It is Rock Jocks, published in 1994 by Milton Bradley with artwork from Mark Fredrickson.
Mark Fredrickson has worked as an illustrator and fine artist for over 30 years. His paintings and digital art have appeared numerous times on the covers and inside of Time Magazine, Business Week, Industry Week, Sports Illustrated, Golf Digest, The Village Voice, Mad Magazine, and many others. This is a 2-player game where the object of the game is to try to knock your opponent off of the cliff by hanging various animals off of him. The animals have various weights. The snakes are the lightest, followed by the vultures, then the rams, and then the heaviest piece in the game is the Yeti. To start the game, each player will get 3 rock chips. On every turn, you will play 1 rock chip, and whatever picture that is depicted on the rock chip, the opponent has to hang that certain animal on his player in any way possible. The first person to fall off the cliff loses. Best 2 out of 3 wins the game.
Yes, I know the game is cheesy, but it's great fun. It actually took me a while to find out who illustrated this game. It's not like today's games where you know who designed it and who illustrated it. Well, that's it for now. May your rolls be high. See you next time.
The formula for a truly classic strategy board game is actually pretty simple. Take one white dude, stand him up nice and tall, put him in the forefront of your cover, and have him looking wistfully off screen. If you can look more bored than wistful, then you know you're really in business. All the greats do it. Kalis does it. Haunted Teutonica does it. El Grande does it. Bored-looking white dudes doing things. And then for those of you who insist that there are themes in board games, they also throw little other things in the picture, like sheep in Glenmore here. But sheep aren't really a big part of Glenmore. They're kind of just one of the tiles. You're more trying to build castles and distill whiskey and do all kinds of stuff. But the board game cover then should be working on trying to evoke a feeling for you of what the game is going to be like. Is it going to be mean or nice or cooperative or stressful or whatever it is? If you look at something like Agricola, it should be marketed like Pandemic. The feeling you get when there's a harvest coming and you gotta feed your family and you don't have the card you need and you didn't get the thing and you have the stuff and then you have to sell your pig, and it just is stressful. But the cover doesn't really tell you that. The cover just has happy looking farmer guy. Then you get games that kind of swing the other way, where the game cover is maybe more evocative than the game. Mermies has this dreamy forest that I just want to live in. I want to live under this mushroom. And you open up the game and it's a worker placement game with a cool area control mechanism, but I just want to go back to the forest. And the number of people who have asked me, how's the dinosaur game? They're talking about dominant species, and there are no dinosaurs in dominant species, despite what the cover would tell you. I did want to show you one of the most hideous games I have in my collection. I apologize to the illustrator, that got completely overlooked, and that is the impossible to pronounce Global Mogul. Global Mogul came out from Mayfair Games a couple years ago with this hideous mustard yellow cover with money green writing. And the drop shadow is also in mustard. So that's nice, right? It reminded me of the rural juror from 30 Rock. Almost immediately. But Global Mogul is a very cool economic game where you're trying to take over markets, and it kind of has almost a tech tree feel. You play on your player board and you're covering stuff up, and that gives you discounts and all kinds of things, and you progress through the game, and your engine is pretty easily seen as you progress, and it's kind of nice that way. Now, if they were ever to make a newly named Global Mogul and a deluxe, I would sign up immediately. But if you can find it for a decent price, you should totally check it out, because no one else is buying it anyway. But it's a great game. Thanks for going through this cover story with me, guys. I will see you in a couple of weeks.
Hi, my name is Pierô. I'm an illustrator for board games, and I'm French, so I'm very, very sorry for my English. I will try to do my best that you will understand me a little bit. Zee Garcia sent me a request for a little video of my own to talk about cover stories. And as I have done like 40 games, I have done a lot of covers, and cover is always a story, always in a board games. I have done Mr. Jack, Dice Town, Ghost Stories, Rampage, River Dragon, and many others. When you do a cover for board games, we have two ways to approach the cover. We have the nice picture, nice image, which is supposed to put you in the theme of the game and in the mood of the game. Like I've done for Yggdrasil, for example, a cooperative game with the Nordic gods, and I just put Thor, the thunder god, I think, fighting a big evil monster. Or you can have another approach, which something I believe is more common. It's to put the basics of the game in the cover. I will try to explain myself. For example, for the cover of Dice Town, when you watch the cover, you know that the theme is the Old West, that you can play with 3 or 4 people, that you play with dice, poker dice, with a goblet, and you are betting some money or some gold nuggets, and the girls from the saloon can steal your stuff from your jacket. And even if when you look at the cover, you don't know that's the game, but you can assume that you will have to do these sort of things in the game. For Geister, Schatzmeister, game published by Mattel, an American company, for the German market. I worked with the US team, the very cool guys, and we worked on the cover with the assumption that the game is about a haunted house with some kids who try to get in and get out with some treasure, fighting with ghosts. We did a cover at the beginning. We tried with an orange color in the sky, and with the house, a haunted house with two trees around it, doing like ends. And finally, first of all, we thought that the orange color was too Halloween themed, and so we decided to turn it to blue. And we did the cover with the Mattel team. We were very proud of it, and I think it sounds presumptuous for me, but we were pretty happy with the cover. And we finished it and sent it to the Mattel German team, which was the first, because it was for the German market. And the German team answer was, "Whoa, it's cool, it's nice, but in Germany, the haunted house don't exist. We have haunted castle, and haunted castle are not in wood; they are in stone." So we finally do the cover again with a haunted castle made with stones. And of course, the haunted castle can't be, because on my wooden house, the windows were eyes and the door was a mouth. But finally, it's just the stone castle, and it works fine. Finally, like this. Other stories, for example, Ghost Stories. Ghost Stories is a game, a cooperative game. I know that Zee loved the game, and in the game you are fighting together. So on the cover you can see two monks, the players, fighting together against some waves of enemies that you can see on the side of the box. And they have to defend the village behind them, and the village is surrounded by the evil aura of Wu Fang, the bad guys of Ghost Stories. And so at the beginning I wanted to do a very narrative cover, but it wasn't very simple, and so we kept a very simple composition with the two players in the middle of the image and with the two waves of enemies on the sides with the village in the background. And for the stories, at the beginning, Ghost Stories was released with two monks, male monks. And once the games has been released, it has a pretty good success. And the publisher wanted to do a reprint of the game. And to do a reprint of the game, one of the publishers, there were two, called me and said, "Okay, Pierô, we will reprint the game because it has a great success. We're pretty happy with it. But we have a problem, cooperative games, and we have just two men, and we would like to have one man and one woman because cooperative games are games that we love to play in couple and with some friends, so we have to put women and men, of course. And I didn't think about it when I was doing the cover, so I changed the red monk into a woman, which has been done too fast, so I'm not very proud of my woman, and I'm not sure that it looked like a woman finally, but I tried to do my best. And here we are. I think that it's some of the stories for the covers I have in mind, and I hope you understood what I tried to say in English, but it's really not easy for me, especially in front of my computer with my camera and my strange light. So thanks to Zee to ask me to embarrass myself in the video for the Board Game Blender. And if one day I can help again to talk about illustration in board games, because I think it's very important, I will be there. So sorry again for my accent, sorry again for my English, and take care. Bye-bye.
Hey folks, welcome back to Real Talk with Sam. This week on the Blender, we are talking about covers and box art. Those things that are supposed to draw us in and make us want to buy that product. The age-old question comes into account here. Should or should we not judge a game by its cover? Anyway, to kind of help explain this whole thing out, I invited a friend of mine. A lot of people say we look a lot alike. I don't see the resemblance, but okay, whatever. Anyway, here he is. Why, hello, me mateys. My name is Captain Ron Cholo of the Century Sparrow, a ship whose name will strike fear into the hearts and minds of those who hear it. Today, my good friend Sam Healy wanted me to show you some of the games that I truly enjoy. Alright, first off, me mateys, I want to show you a game called Caravelas. Now, of course, I'm not going to be able to show all of the things I want to tell you about, but I did want to show you the box cover at least. Being a pirate, I love games about sailing on the high seas, trading and meeting new people and having to decide what exactly you're going to do with those new people you meet. It's a great game, even though the box cover is lackluster. Now, this game, me mateys, is one of my favourite games of all time. Now, I know you might be thinking, why would a pirate like a Viking game? And my answer to that is, why shouldn't I? This is a great game about being a Viking. You have to sail the high seas. You've got to go and trade with other people. And then you smack those people in the face and plunder and kill them for their houses. That's a wonderful thing. Oh, sorry kids, close your ears. That's really cool. Moving on. This game, me mateys, is one of my favourite games of all because I've actually taken part in this race before. Now, I didn't win because I saw off my starboard bow one of the Royal Navy frigates and had to drop my cargo at the first sign of those Imperial Navy bums. Now, this, me mateys, is probably one of the most piratey pirate games that I own because Pirates Cove is all about fighting other pirates trying to be the best pirate of them all. You can enjoy this with your family and friends to great extent and feel like a pirate the whole time. So those are the games that Captain Cholo and I have wanted to bring before your attention today. Hope you enjoyed that and hope maybe we brought some attention to a game that you maybe hadn't thought that much about in the past, and maybe you're willing to check it out now. Games like this one right here. Man, when I saw that box cover, I was like, man, look at that. Whew. Looks awesome. Adventure, dungeon crawl, quests, big monsters. Let me down. So disappointing. Well, that's about it for Real Talk with Sam. And hey, y'all, remember, just trying to keep it real, y'all.
Hey everybody, since we're talking about cover story this week, I don't know if you recognize this cover, but it's designed by a very, very famous lady. If you don't recognize this one, you might recognize El Grande, one of the more famous games from the 90s, or one of the most popular games in gaming in general, Carcassonne. These were all designed by one of the prolific designers in our gaming community, artist. Her name is Doris Matthias, or Matthias. I'm not exactly sure how to say it. Matthaus. We'll put it on the screen so you can see what her actual name is. But in addition to all of these great artwork that she's done over the years, she's also designed some games with her husband Frank, such as these, Usurpe, Mu and Mare. She's also done Eagle Argan, which is hedgehogs, which is actually one of her first designs. If you notice in the Moo and Mare cover, there's a nice hedgehog here. That's one of her main themes that she's gone back to in all of their game designs is they always put a hedgehog. So Eagle Argan, Frank Zoo has hedgehogs in it. Moo has the hedgehog here. So if you look for her artwork, one thing you'll notice is great cartoon animation. I think she has one of the greatest eyes for design. She does a lot of cartoony artwork, as you can see here. She will make sure to put her little hidden hedgehog in every game as well. So if you're looking and you want to know if it's a Frank and Doris game, just look for the hedgehog. These two games are both really, really good. Usurpe is in English, it's actually called Primordial Soup. So if you're looking for it, you would find it as Primordial Soup. Moo and Mare, an amazing trick-taking game. It actually is more on the regular kind of trick-taking game, like a spades or a hearts or anything like that, versus Frank Zoo, which is more in the Tichu line of trick-taking games. But either way, if you're looking for a really good designer who not only designs games, but also does amazing cover art, Doris Mathias, however you say it, and she's going to hit me for that, but she's really, really good, not only for her design, but for her art.
For this episode's Under the Radar, we're going to be taking a look at a game called Cubist. And we're going to get this right out of the way right now. If you have any doubt why this game seems to be flying under the radar, here's what the cover looks like. Yeah. Someone somewhere thought that a game with that cover art would sell for money. So, the game itself is a lot better than this cover would lead you to believe. It comes with some really ugly cards here, which as you can see are very purple. It comes with another deck here of very ugly cards. There you go, and these are the fronts, a little better. Not as much purple. And then some other ugly cards, but now in green. And some really cool dice. These are not ugly dice. These are awesome, marbled, cool-looking dice. And the game... Oh, wait, I forgot. Really ugly boards, too. The game is obviously a dice game, and in it you are going to be rolling dice and building structures. You are building one communal structure that looks like that, which everyone's building together by rolling your dice and placing them on there. And then you also have some buildings that are in front of everyone, a pool, and you can build those for some victory points right there. And the game's really light and straightforward. It's actually a really neat game. You roll 2 dice on your turn, you decide what you want to do with them. If you're going to play them to these cards, then you have to build that structure, and there's a representation of it up here, as well as a 3D representation at the bottom. And when you place the dice, you have to put them so that if you stack them on top of each other, some structures need to be higher than a single die, then you put the same number on itself. So a 5 will go on top of a 5, and if you're building out, then the number you're playing has to be 1 higher or 1 lower than the number it's touching. Very simple. That's it. You're going to play until either someone has a specific number of these cards, these cards, or the building in the middle is done, and everybody's going to get 2 points for every die they added to this one. We're all building this together, and they're going to get however many points that gives you. And that's it. Really neat game. I like it a lot, actually, but I'll tell you, honestly, this game's hard to bring to the table because I have to pull it off the shelf, and this is still the outside of the box. Come on, guys. We can do better than this. It should be hitting tables. I'm not seeing anyone playing it. What's going on? It's a neat dice game. Dice games are hot right now. This is a good one, but it seems no one's touching it. If you're okay with an ugly cover and you want to do something for board game kind, check this one out. Give Cubist some love. There you have it. For Under the Radar, Cubist! I'll see ya.
Hi everybody, Suzanne here. Covers, board game covers. They're often the first thing you see, the first thing that really grabs your attention, and maybe even the first thing that gets you to buy a game. When I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about in regards to board game covers, I went down and took a look at my collection, paying attention to just the board game cover art. And I realized that there are some commonalities in board game covers from a composition point of view. Now, I am sure that there are art and design principles at play that I'm completely ignorant of, so keep that in mind because I'm going to take a quick look at board game cover motifs from a novice's point of view that I picked up on. And I'm going to throw in a little twist. I'm going to show you examples, but I've taken out the name of the game. So let's see which covers are distinct enough that you can pick yours out. Let's start out with the battle scene motif. Whether it's historical, fantasy, or space, here you'll see factions facing off with teeth gnashed and weapons brandished, all poised for a dramatic clash. Of course, if that's too full of tension for you, we can go with the more serene, scenic view. Here, people are often in a scene but treated more like background, whether you're hanging out with your friends, or hanging out with your sheep, or hanging out with your sheep, or hanging out with your sheep, or hanging out with your cow. Suzanne, you say, enough with the livestock, enough with the people. Just show me some epic structures. I can do that. I'm also quite fond of the variant, space structures. Epic structures not doing it for you after all? Okay, let's go back to the people with heroic groupings. Looking off into the distance, not at each other, these stoic figures are often poised and dramatic, figures of power coexisting, for now. Speaking of groupings, whatever happened to showing the players on the board game cover? Okay, so really, how does a cover rise above all that group noise? Well, you gotta focus on the hero shot. Sure, at first the hero shot may sound static, but look at all the variants there are. We have the triumphant stance, checking plans, surveying, displaying, traveling, looking serious, and even just sitting around. We also have whatever these two guys are doing. Let me be clear, I'm just trying to have a bit of fun about these covers, but I in no way want to put them down because talented artists put so much time and effort into creating these works of art for us. But if you're like me and you see some commonalities, you may also see that a few touches, whether it's a unique theme, a bold graphic design choice, or a subtle thematic element, can take a board game cover from common to memorable. And if nothing else, it's clear, creating an iconic cover character, even if it gets mocked once in a while, can certainly cement a board game in your mind. See you next time.
Hey guys, Tiff here, talking a little bit about board game cover art. And more specifically, I want to talk about board game covers that might turn away your younger players, but are totally worth the extra effort to get them playing. In general, my middle school board game club kids will try anything I say is fun without even looking at the box. Since most of them are my students at school, we've built up a little bit of trust, but there are a couple of games that I've had to sell extra hard after they've spotted the box cover. Here they are. Augustus, or Rise of Augustus, is one such game. This is a nice gateway game that works well with a chit draw set collection system that feels like a more complex version of bingo. I like it because it's fairly easy to teach, but has a good chunk of iconography to learn. Learning how to process iconography is essential for a modern board gamer, so to me it was an easy choice for the club kids. I didn't really think about how they would perceive this cover because I think it's gorgeous. One of my students found the detailed illustrations interesting, but more than one told me something along the lines of, "It looks educational," which they didn't mean as a compliment. Once I got into the rules and they realized it's a really simple game, it went well, but sitting side by side with games like Camel Up and Coconuts, it's not likely to be a first choice for the middle schoolers. Guildhall is another game where the seriousness of the cover belies the fun factor of the gameplay. I can't imagine too many people getting overly excited about a medieval dude holding a couple of piglets, but alas, this is the cover AEG went with. At best it's quirky, universally the kids describe it as creepy or weird, but once they get playing they definitely enjoy the interesting chaining, set collection, and take that mechanisms of the game. Both of these games are great, but have art choices that won't appeal to your average middle schooler, and playing them has been a good lesson in you can't judge a game by its cover for my club kids. I wouldn't introduce these games straight away to a new group, because there are plenty of bright and cartoony game boxes marketed specifically towards kids for that.
But once you get going, I think it's important for anyone to see that a game can be fun for the mechanisms and gameplay, despite the art, the theme, or the graphic design. I hope you'll check these out, and I'll see you back next time.
Hey friends of the Blend, this week on Board Game Blender we're talking about cover story, or the covers on various games, good ones, bad ones, what they make you think. But before I get into that, I wanted to address some concerns about my editing technique. There's too many jump cuts. I'm chopping my sentences off, and I apologize for that. I'm going to try to cut out jump cuts entirely. Hey, go ahead and close the door. Thank you. No, Tom, I think it's perfectly legitimate to put Nothing Personal as the next game in the Dice Tower Essentials line. Hey, Sam. What? No, don't listen to Jeremiah. I like you just the way you are. Shut the door! The guy that left that comment didn't like me talking off screen, so you gotta go. What can I say? I gotta please the people. So I promise, no more jump cuts. Getting into the cover story situation here, I'm gonna talk about viticulture. The reason I want to talk about viticulture is this game has just one of the most boring covers I've ever seen in my life. I mean, look at it. Even by the standards of European farming games, this cover is boring. I mean, you've got these empty fields, nothing going on. Oh, you got the two people right here that are mashing some grapes, or maybe they're just hanging out. You can't really tell. And you got three buildings, you got a dock over here, some trees, but what in the world? There's nothing exciting about this cover, and it's a real shame because this game is actually really good. So now let's compare this boring cover to this lively board. Look at this. I mean, you've got people in the field working, you've got people over here taking a tour, over here riding this cart that for some reason gives you money. You've got, well, nobody at the dock still, but at least the docks actually look like something's going on there. You got people over here in the field work and people actually mashing grapes. You can see what they're doing. I mean, the board itself is beautiful and gorgeous and actually looks like you got stuff going on in the farm. So to recap, boring, exciting, boring, lively, well, you get the idea. And now let's look beyond the artwork. Let's not forget how exciting this game is in and of itself, just the game by itself. It is a game about you're doing all this stuff over here. You're trying to build the best vineyard in Tuscany, and while you're doing so, you're taking these actions from other people. You're getting on this spot even though you can't use the special action just to block somebody else from using it. You're getting over here and you're building buildings, and then nobody else can build the building they need, so then they can't plant the plants they need to get the grapes they need, and so the next thing you know, you're pulling ahead, and man, this game just has so much excitement to it and is completely held in disservice by this boring box cover. So the thing that new gamers need to take from a game like Viticulture is to realize two things. One, not a particularly exciting theme, growing grapes over the period of years and years and years. I don't know. I don't find that theme exciting in and of itself. And the cover didn't do any help. It did not help me decide to buy the game. It took me a long time after seeing this game before I finally decided to do it. And so you need to realize that you can find some fantastic games inside of some themes and covers and artwork that just don't appeal to you whatsoever. So until next time, if you're bored online, bored offline.
Today for the Quirky Game, we're going to be taking a look at not one game, but many covers. In fact, the Quirky covers, if you would. And I'm going to be choosing a few games for different reasons. Some of them I'm picking because they're artistically beautiful, though they don't really tell you very much about the game that's in there. And that works. Sometimes that's a great choice, and it's a brave choice by the publishers, which can pay off. Sometimes the covers lie to you, and sometimes you look at that cover and go, oh, this game is one thematic beast, and you flip it over and realize, oh no, spreadsheet the game. All right, let's get to them right away. I know Randy mentioned a couple of these, but hey, no harm. Here we go. We're starting with Tokaido. Tokaido, as you can see, is very clean, very cool look. Not sure what it is you're doing in this game from looking at this cover, but man, it stands out on a shelf. Beautiful look. That's a beautiful game right there. Maggibot. This one, as you can see, has a very unique look to it. Everything's made of clay. It looks like a claymation movie come to life, but it doesn't move. Claymation still. Very neat. And the board and everything else in it also has that look. This is a real looker. I love the look of this, and it actually is pretty thematic. This cover matches what's in there. I just picked it because I think that look is beautiful and not done enough. We need to get creative with our covers, people. This is one way to do it. Next up, we have 51st State. No idea what's happening in the game from looking at that, but I know someone's face seems to have been stepped on. It's gritty and dirty and oh, yeah, resource management, son. Next up, we have Concept. Is this a worker placement game in which you are making concept cars? Say perhaps a sequel to a recent game put out by Stronghold? No, it's a party game in which you are making up concepts and trying to get your other players to guess them. Clearly from the same school of design as Takedo, and it works really well. Beautiful cover, it really stands out. Next up, another one we had previously mentioned, though it was a different cover. This is, wait, what game is this? It doesn't say. Abyss! Abyss is a game which has no writing, nothing on the cover, and there were 5 covers included. They made 5 different ones. As far as the whole 5 different ones thing, I'm not sure I'm sold on that. This is not actually the one I wanted, so I'm upset about that. I want the guy with the helmet, but a brave choice, a nice move, I think, on their part to come out and do something different, and it fits the game. It's got a really cool sort of outside-the-box vibe, and I really like it. I thought that was a neat choice. Next up, almost in the same class, Wiracocha, and if you covered this up, oh yeah, that's Abyss 2.0. No idea what's happening in this game because that cover doesn't tell you much. It's a worker placement game with dice, but you wouldn't know it from the really cool skull. Still, I love that image. And now, a couple that I consider to be in that school of you lied to me. Martinique. Nice piratey goodness. Arr! And then you flip it over and realize, oh, that's a grid. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. Still good. Still own it, but come on. Look at that cover. That's so cool. Another one. Rosenkönig. I think that's right. Again, really cool image. Stark. Look at that. And no, not that stark. Just a stark image. But then you realize, oh, yeah. Gotcha, sucker. One more, and this is the biggest culprit of all of these. If you don't know anything about this game, you look at that cover and you go, ooh, that's cool. That's nice in Euro. I bet that's good. Oh, totally abstract game with wooden pieces and little bridges and what have you. Yeah, this is one of those that when you pick it up, I like abstract games. Man, when I first saw this and I picked it up, I was like, cool. There's a little devil right there in the gondola. It's a little demon-looking dude. And then I flipped it over and I was like, oh. Alright, that's fine. I like abstracts too. Wah, wah. This one, you might know as Loco, or as Botswana, or as Quandary, or it's been put out 50 times. And when you buy this, you're not even sure if you're getting a game or perhaps a gift soapbox. But it is a game. There are cards in here, and I really like the look of this one. Everybody seems to gravitate towards that when I pull that out just because it looks cool, and maybe they can smell better after using it. And then lastly, I want to highlight this little culprit, King of New York. Now, you might say, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a good-looking game. And you're right. I think it is a good-looking game, and I like it quite a bit, this cover. But, come on, guys. I know you want to cash in on King of Tokyo, but that's a little close for comfort. How about a color reversal or something? You don't want people to literally mistake one for the other. I think these are a little too close. I like the fact that they went with the same font, same style, same look, but maybe a slight difference would have helped a little bit. I mean, at a quick glance, these are the same game. So there you have it. Lots of quirky boxes. I think that's great. I love that the industry is finally trying really weird, cool stuff. And here are some examples. I'm a fan. Keep on bringing the cool covers, guys. And I'm out. So there you have it. That's our episode cover story. Speaking of cool illustrations, you may have noticed a little logo type flying by your screen every now and then. And that is our new Board Game Blender logo. And a big thanks to Pierô, who you saw earlier in the episode, for designing and illustrating that for us. It's a beautiful thing. I'm enamored with it, and so a big thanks to him for that. If you've not seen any of our previous episodes or you've missed any of them, please go back and check them out. As always, a big thank you to all the contributors. They put in great work, and I appreciate every single one of them. And hopefully I'll see you again in 2 weeks, where we'll be talking Lucky Dog, our episode about luck. Luck in games. Is it good? Is it bad? How can it help you? How can it hurt you? All sorts of good lucky stuff. So, again, thanks for tuning in, and as always, stay a friend of the blend.